Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another session of Breath of Fire Circle Wednesdays. Today is a little different. Once again, welcome everybody to Breath of Fire Circle Wednesdays. I am Breath Master Aaron Motley, your global community elder, teaching you the quality of the breath and helping you to move forward in your mind, body, and spirit using breath technology and so on. Today, it's going to be a little different. I just want to talk to you today, give you some insights into why I do what I do. Okay? Back in 1989. Yeah, it's been 30, almost 32 years. Matter of fact, it's 32 years ago, August 14th, that I lost my mother, or my family lost our matriarch, Queen Mother Nancy Lee Motley. And during the time leading up to her transitioning to becoming an esteemed ancestor, she suffered greatly, and we all had to witness that. And in that process, I was asking many questions, but the primary question I asked was, how can I avoid this? Followed by a request from the universe, the creator, from the all that is, the all-knowing, the Akashic record, whatever you want to call it. That place where all the information is stored and all of the wishes are granted. So I asked that question. My request was to have information and awareness of how to avoid those extremely debilitating diseases, not just cancer, because cancer is part of a precipitous process where the body begins to weaken and various parts get even weaker faster than the rest. And you have toxins and what have you that live in those areas and just aid the breakdown process. You know, from a perspective of when you look at plants and other things, you see that, you know, when they begin to degrade, plants turn back and go back into the soil, and there's a degradation process that happens, and you will see, you know, maybe what some fungus or whatever, or something they may call blight, or different things that affect the plant or the organism or the thing, you know, including metal, the rusting process of metal. That's a degradation process. And when it happens to plants, sometimes, you know, we call it rot. We watch stuff just dissolve and become gelatinous and all of this. So from that perspective, I see cancer as the body rotting, or a part of the body just rotting away. And the thing about rotten stuff is you can generally get rid of the rotten part and have, you know, the rest of the plant or organism maintain viability. But you have to get that at a point where the rot is not to the point where it's just overcome the entire organism. So this is why they cut out cancer, what have you. But we can revitalize our body, because one of the primary responses I got when I asked the questions of how to avoid this onslaught of disease and, you know, this massive amount of suffering, was to get more oxygen into the body, because, you know, you've heard the statement, cancer can't survive in an oxygen-rich environment. So I set on a quest to get more oxygen in my body. I didn't look for a machine. I looked for different methods, different techniques, and what have you. And breathing is obviously the way to get more oxygen in your body. So increasing what goes into your nostrils. I'm a nostril breather as far as inhalation, not a mouth breather. Some people breathe into the mouth, but the natural process of breathing is typically in through the nostrils and out of the nostrils, and in some cases in through the nostrils, out of the mouth. But when you see someone that is breathing into the mouth and out of the mouth, basically they have an impaired respiratory system. It can be impaired for a number of reasons, but allowing the nostril, the nasal passages, to become deactivated or encumbered, you set yourself up to a really horrendous situation. So if you were one of those people, you want to amend that so that that's not part of your process. So learning different ways to get more oxygen in my body became paramount. I studied, well, I had read a few articles on yoga and whatever. I read an article on this young lady who was a free diver, and I got interested in that whole process in reading that article because, free divers, and if you don't know, free divers will get as much oxygen into their body and oxygenate their blood as much as possible before they go dive so that they will be able to stay in the depths of the water longer. This young lady, her boyfriend, who actually introduced the sport to her, had this really serious practice of hyper-oxygenating his body by, part of it was creating oxygen deprivation by exhaling all of the air out of his body. And then he would exert himself doing an innumerable amount of sit-ups. They said 1,000. I can't fathom that, but anyway. And then after that process, his body would crave oxygen. So when he inhaled more oxygen, it would increase the oxygen on a cellular level. And so this is how he ramped up, increased the oxygen stores in his blood before he went and dived into these deep depths. So this young lady who, fell in love with him, she was a model. She changed her career path and everything and became a free diver. And she became very renowned. And there was a tragic end to her story because she went down so deep and that she became disoriented, and the people who were there to monitor her became disoriented, even though they had air tanks, but they was at a depth of over 100 feet. And after a few minutes, they literally forgot that she hadn't come up. And when they came up, everybody was like, "Where is she?" And eventually, they got her body and all this stuff. So that was a tragic end. But the bottom line was, what I took from that story, God rest that young lady's soul, is that there are ways of getting more oxygen into the body by modifying the breathing capacity and doing certain movements and certain exercises and what have you. And that there's various stages that the body will hold on to more oxygen if you create a circumstance that it has been deprived. Same as starvation. When you starve a body, whatever the body gets, it uses that in a more sometimes efficient, but in a more economic manner. So it will hold on to some of the things rather than burning it all up in energy, and that's where part of the whole fat process. But anyway, so on this journey, I learned these various techniques and what have you, and I've gotten to the point where I've quote-unquote mastered the breathing process. And the other aspect of my questioning and my request upon my mother's passing was, allow me or give me the opportunity to share whatever I learned with others. So aside from the breath, there was nutrition, there's movement, and eventually there's touch therapy, reflexology, and also this thing I do called heart touch. But since we're talking about the breath of Friday Circle Wednesdays, let me stay focused on that. So increasing the oxygen in the bloodstream, in the body, is a way to stave off every disease and every malady, because when you increase the oxygen in the blood, you also increase the vibrancy in the organs, their functioning, and also you increase their ability to move emotions. And your emotions move your spirit in a large way. And so when you are doing serious breathing practices, you're able to shift your emotional well-being, therefore also your spiritual well-being. So these are some of the reasons why I am the breath master, why I would like for you to become a breath master. Whether you become certified or not, I would like for you to master the breathing process. And this is why I share freely, a lot online, because it's my intention for as many people to master the breathing process as possible. Whether you become trained and certified, or if you just want to learn for your own edification and share with some of your friends, family, and loved ones. Either way you do it, if I can be of service in this process, that's my intention. My mother used to say, you get your blessings from helping others. Well, I want to add to that. You augment the blessings within the community when you bless others. And in turn, you will receive blessings, because as the community is uplifted, you will rise with the community. So this is my life's work at this time. I have total focus and intention in being of service, being an asset, a resource throughout the community. If you or anyone you know needs something that I have to offer, contact me. We can work something out, whether it's paid or whether it's a trade or whether it's a scenario where it's a gift. I am looking to work with as many people as possible. I know that as a resource, primarily, I can't think of everything that's necessarily a space that I can fit in. So if you see where I can be of service, whether it's part of your community, your family network, or for you, or an organization or association or whatever that you may be affiliated with or know of, link us together. Please. That's my purpose for the rest of my life. I'm 63, and hopefully I'll get another 63 in good health, optimal health. I don't believe in getting old. That's also the beauty of the breath. The more oxygen you get in your body, the more vital, the more youthful, because it's sustaining all of your organs and tissues and what have you. You are, and you stay. You see people who exercise, and they seem to be healthier, more fit, however you want to call it. Bottom line is, they have a better quality of life in general, which is always something to strive for, because why suffer? The whole suffering thing is a very low quality of life, and it's a motivator for some. Unfortunately, it's can be a very tragic motivator, because it definitely motivated me, seeing my own mother, the woman who gave me life, the closest thing to God I know, because say God created life, and hey, she created the body that this life resides in, the spirit. So with that, I would say to you, also be of service. Be ready to serve your community. Look out for those who you can be of benefit to. You don't always have to give things. It's even better when you give of self. So this is my message for today. We're going to get back to the breath of fire on the next Wednesday at 3 p.m. I just want to have a moment to give some clarity on why I'm doing what I'm doing, and hopefully inspire some of you to do the same or similar with the same level of conviction. I learned through this process that I have a responsibility. And the word responsibility, those of you who know me know that I got this thing about words, because when you speak, you should know exactly what it is that you're saying. And when you have words that you're using that you don't know the meaning of, or the impact of those words, then you really can't be on point with what it is that you're doing. So when I look at words, I look at how they break down and how they build up. Now, and also there are syllables, prefixes, and what have you that add meaning and subtract meaning from a word, such as response. You can respond to something. Now, responsibility or responsibility. They added ability to the end of the word response or respond. Responsibility, respondability. You have the ability to respond. So when you have the ability to respond to a situation, you have an obligation to provide your time and be of service in that space. So that's your word for the day, if you want to call it that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all listening to me, and I look forward to being of service. This is Breathmaster Aaron Motley, your Global Community Elder, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section, DM me, and so on. Peace.